Yo, what's up? It's We Make Best here with another guide to every deck in Classic Constructed, and today it's UZURI. UZURI is the new assassin hero introduced in Outsiders. Her hero ability allows her to switch an attacking stealth card in play with an attack action with cost 2 or less from hand during the reaction step. This ability makes it almost impossible to be able to block out UZURI decks correctly. This is due to the constant threat of UZURI swapping their stealth attacks into any of their bigger attacks with devastating on-hits. Cards such as Command and Conquer, Leave No Witnesses, Death Touch, Surgical Extraction, and Shakedown. Command and Conquer and Leave No Witnesses allow UZURI to destroy opponents' powerful arsenal cards. Death Touch just has insane flexibility in the choice of token that we want to give, as well as using UZURI's hero ability to get around the downside of Death Touch having to be played from Arsenal. And then Surgical Extraction and Shakedown for multiple Thoughtseize effects to allow us to look at the opponent's hand and take away their most powerful card, completely shutting down any plan they may have had. So all of these attacks are detrimental if allowed to hit, but then to add on to the difficulty of blocking these out against UZURI, her being an assassin hero also gives her access to all the new daggers introduced in Outsiders, in the form of Orbitoclast, Scale Peeler, and Nerve Scalpel. Orbitoclast is a powerhouse against Wizards, Dromai, and Briar, decks that mostly want to block with their non-attack actions. Scale Peeler is very strong against Guardians and recurring blocking equipment, such as Rampart of the Ram's Head, Black Tech Whisperers, Mask of Perdition, or even Valiant Dynamos. And then lastly for the daggers, Nerve Scalpel to help counter UZURI's biggest counter, that being defense reactions. Nerve Scalpel is easily the most powerful dagger UZURI's have access to because of its interaction with Flick Knives. Flick Knives allows UZURI to throw one of her daggers at the opponent, dealing 1 damage and applying the daggers on hit during the reaction step. So by using Flick Knives on our Nerve Scalpel in response to our opponent's defense reaction, this will actually reduce the blocking value of that defense reaction, just creating an extra layer of difficulty to blocking out UZURI's. And this interaction is why you'll always see UZURI's bring at least 1 Nerve Scalpel into almost any matchup. These new daggers give assassins the ability to run the perfect combination of weapons into any hero they verse, allowing UZURI to keep a consistent game plan against every hero in the format right now. So all of this combined means UZURI creates a near impossible situation for opponents to block, and then when the opponents don't block, they get punished greatly due to the extremely powerful on-hits she presents. So this type of playstyle makes UZURI most formidable as an aggressive styled mid-range deck. This is because UZURI only needs 2 cards to be able to achieve her baseline game plan, those cards being 1 stealth card and 1 big on-hit. This leaves UZURI players with 2 to 3 spare cards every turn cycle, allowing the UZURI player to use those 2 to 3 extra cards to adapt to any opponent they face through smart deck building and sideboarding. For example, against defensive decks, UZURI can hedge her extra 2 to 3 cards every turn cycle to be more resource cards for more dagger hits to help her slowly break down the defenses of the opponent, or against faster aggro decks she can hedge for more above rate go again attacks and extra disruption to allow her to keep up in the race and disrupt the opponent's clock through her offense. This adaptability through deck building is what separates the good UZURI's from the great ones. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses. First strength would be a naturally favorable matchup into the defensive decks of the format due to her ability to create almost impossible to block situations for opponents. Then next up, her disruptive attacks are second to none. These attacks are so powerful that you'll often ruin opponents' turns and straight up time walk them multiple times a game. Then lastly, she is one of the best abusers of the newest card, Codex of Frailty. For those who are unaware, Codex of Frailty is a straight up 1 card hand that can come in at 12 to 14 or even 15 points of value easily. To explain how, say Codex is the last card in our hand and we play it, bringing back a Death Touch. This gives ourselves a Ponder and gives our opponent a Frailty. Then we use Tunic to attack for 6 with the Death Touch from Arsenal and then give them an Inertia on top of that. If you count up all the points of value that 1 card hand just produced, you'll find that we gain 3 from the Ponder, 6 points from the attack, and another 3 from the Inertia created. And then on top of all of that, if they're an assassin or a Kodachi hero, we also gain 3 from the Frailty since we're denying the weapon damage and 1 damage off their attack from Arsenal, all up being 15 points of value for 1 card. That shit bussin'. The only real weakness we found was the slight chance of not being able to utilize every single card in our hand when we had the tempo, mainly due to the lack of go again attacks in our UZURI list. Although Black Tech Whisperers helped this weakness out a lot. And now lastly, to go over some variations of UZURI builds, we feel that there are 2 main different variations that we believe to have found success. Firstly, the aggressive mid-range style of UZURI, which is built around having the highest value cards in the list for any matchup in order to stay flexible into the expected diverse meta coming up. We'll leave a link in the description to our list of us trying to achieve this plan. Second, there is a more attack reaction heavy variant build built around adding a whole nother element of difficulty to the opponent's ability to block. This version was best displayed just recently at the Chicago Brawl, where Mr. Drip Drop Dando himself piloted this version to a top 8 finish. Now, if this guide helped you learn how to play or even verse UZURI, consider watching some of our other quick guides to help you guys with almost any hero in the game. But appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching to the end. But for now, we outie.